Day 71, July 10th, 2022. New theory. Mosquitoes don't like humidity. Our first few nights in Minnesota were oppressively humid, and we didn't see too many mosquitoes. Yesterday, for the first time, we had a nice clear day and a night that started out nice and clear, and the mosquitoes came back en masse. So I told you once, I'm not the world's most keen observer of nature. Sometimes it takes me a while to figure things out. But that's my new working theory. And a corollary theory to that is the mosquitoes ain't done with us yet. We're going to be seeing them for quite a while. What fun. It's about 5:30 in the morning. We are headed for Mankato. There was quite a bit of dew this morning, but I didn't try to put my theory to test. I slathered myself in DEET as soon as I got out of my sleeping bag. I met my first fellow cross-country hiker last night. It wasn't much of a conversation. I tell you folks, sometimes my social skills are just abysmal. I had known he was behind me because a cyclist told me that there was another hiker about a quarter mile behind who had started out in Faribault that morning and was planning to make it to Mankato that night. He still had 12 miles to go, and it was a couple hours before sunset, so he wasn't gonna get there before dark. And if he'd started in Faribault that morning, that makes it a 40-mile hike. Well, to each his own. Anyway, I was searching for a campsite at the time, so I was kind of poking along, and eventually he caught up with me. And I told him that a cyclist had told me he was heading for Mankato, and he said, "That's right." And I asked where he started out from, thinking, you know, he must have started out on the East Coast or something like me. All he said was, "Oh, back there a ways." And then he started talking about how he'd grown up in Montana and thought he might go back there and take a look around. And I said, "Well, I'm heading for the Redwood Forest." And then there was this long pause, and he said, "Well, good luck with that," as if to end the conversation. I guess he had some tracks to make. I should have walked along with him a ways, but I was set on what I was doing at the moment as well. So it wasn't really the encounter that I would expect from fellow thru hikers meeting. But I take the responsibility for that. I knew he was back there, and I should have made it more of a point to see who he was and what he was doing. He struck me as somebody who had been out in the weather a long time, but the weather hadn't really taken its toll yet. He was deeply tanned, but he didn't look like he was crusty around the edges the way I see myself when I look in the mirror. He also had a good pace to him. He wasn't limping or anything, so he's done some walking before. If it's true, he only started out this morning, and he was 30 miles into a 40-mile walk. Anyway, probably by the time we get to Mankato, he'll be long gone. Maybe we'll hear tell of him further down the line. Somebody will say, "Hey, did you meet that hiker who's walking to Montana?" This was charming, no doubt, but they shortly found out that the captain they trusted so well had only one notion for crossing the ocean, and that was to tingle his bell. He was thoughtful and grave, but the orders he gave were enough to bewilder a crew. When he said, "Steer to starboard, but keep the head larboard," what on earth was the helmsman to do?